sounded like Chris Ladd there when I said that. Hi, Catherine. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, Catherine. For those of you that don't know, Catherine O'Kelly is a killer guitar player. Um, I've known her for a while.
Yeah.
When did I start 5 or 6 years maybe? And then I
Yeah.
knew you, I think, before
Summer.
that. I met you before that.
Yeah.
You when I started my master's, you had just finished your master's at Hart, and you were starting the DMA process. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And and so now a couple years have passed. I haven't heard you play in a while, but I'm assuming that you're still a terrifying guitarist.
Try
So,
my-
and then you have some really cool stuff coming up. So thank you very much for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
So what I do with everybody is I kind of ask them at the beginning, like, what would you be doing right now if we weren't in this lockdown? So we'll start
Hmm.
there.
Let's see. Well, I guess usually on Monday nights I rehearse with Ariel, who plays flute. We have a duo, Tedesco duo, and for I guess the past 2 years or so, we've been getting together on Mondays, and we'll cook a little bit, and we'll eat and laugh, and then we rehearse.
And be joyous.
Yeah. So that's probably what I'd be doing. And yeah, it's sad we haven't been able to rehearse, but
What kind of stuff are you guys playing right now?
let's see. We had a concert in February, and we did a whole Valentine's Day theme. So we did,
Oh,
yeah, it was fun. We did a Beatles medley, and that actually we arranged ourselves. Um, and then we did, let's see, Moon River, and oh, we did, oh my gosh, now I'm forgetting.
Romeo and Juliet.
Once Upon a. We didn't actually do Romeo and Juliet. But yeah, a bunch of stuff. It was a lot of fun.
And you're teaching out at a couple different schools still?
Yeah, I'm teaching at the River School Conservatory in Weston, Massachusetts. Teaching at the Hotchkiss School in Lakeville, Connecticut, and then teaching at the Community School of the Arts in Storrs, Connecticut.
How long didn't you get one of those pretty recently? One of those gigs? Because I know the
Um,
school in Connecticut you've been for. Is that's the boarding school?
yeah, that's the most recent one,
Oh,
Hotchkiss.
okay.
I've been there for oh gosh, 3 years now, two and a
Oh,
half,
well, I was
something like
wrong.
that.
I am wrong a lot of the time on this show. Do you know Jim Davidson? The,
I
the
think I do
He's like a
actually.
Boston guitar. He was just schooling me the last time I did one of these interviews, and he was just like, "Oh, you know this person?" And I was like, "Nope, don't know that." So that's probably going to happen a lot. I was more interested in the technique than the actual reading of stuff in grad school.
Totally.
I was a
Same.
loser. Um, so you'll be doing that. Were you doing any solo concerts or anything like that?
Um, Not too much. It was mostly duo stuff that I was doing. But now I'm doing a lot of solo music.
Cool.
So yeah, yeah. Ariel and I had our website up, and that was pretty exciting. And we were scheduling some more things.
Yeah.
Sign up for a group muse and stuff like that. But yeah, now I guess I have more time to do more solo stuff.
Yeah. It's weird because like you don't know when this is going to end, and I feel like for us in our field, the plans we make are so big. Like if you're like, I'm going to learn the chaconne, like you can't just do that in 2 weeks. Well, maybe you can, but you can't just do that in a couple weeks. And then if the quarantine ends, you can't start playing it on the third week. Like we make these huge musical plans.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, well, it's hard too because uh, you can't really schedule a concert till you have like the rep ready,
Yeah,
and then finally
exactly.
have the rep ready, but you don't know when you can schedule concerts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have some cool stuff coming up, but before we talk about that, can we rewind to your college experience? You played another instrument other than guitar. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yeah, I played oboe.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
That's a double reed instrument.
yeah.
It oftentimes sounds like the clarinet, but it's not.
Yeah, a cross between a clarinet and a duck.
That's good. Why, I'm guessing you did band in high school and stuff or
Yeah.
orchestra, and then that took you to undergrad?
Yeah. Yeah, and in undergrad I did the wind ensemble first, and then the orchestra, and I did chamber music with oboe, and I was in a contemporary music ensemble as well. And I also sang too,
Oh,
with chorus,
what
and
what
I
part were you?
I sang soprano, soprano one.
Oh, geez,
Hilarious.
that's high. Where did you go to undergrad?
I went to Vassar College.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool. And so, what was your major? What sort of attracted you to study music at the college level?
So let's see. I didn't really actually ever expect to be a professional musician. I just always did music. I always loved it. Yeah, I actually started on piano, then added guitar, then added oboe, and then I had to drop piano because it was just too much. But I've always loved singing as well.
Because it was both hands. That's why you had to drop it because you had to do
Yeah,
stuff with the right and the left hand.
it was just too much, you know. And I
Yeah.
tried with my feet, but it didn't work. um, but yeah, it was just sort of like I had done music my whole life, and it was kind of obvious that I should be a music major, but I just was slow to figure that out. So I was planning on majoring in yeah, well, I definitely went to major in philosophy, and I did actually end up double majoring in philosophy and music.
Wow.
Um, and so I guess by the time I did enter college, I guess I kind of figured out, okay, maybe I should probably major in music.
Yeah.
Um,
What did you want to do with philosophy?
I wanted to study philosophy just because I wanted to learn how to think and just sort of open my mind, and
Did you
uh,
learn how to think?
I did. I think I did.
Oh. What was your favorite? Because I actually studied psychology before I went into music. What was your favorite? What attracted you to philosophy?
Um,
You said learning how to think, but like, was there a certain? Um, well, I don't know.
I
What does
guess
that mean to you when I say what attracted you to philosophy?
I just wanted to learn how to approach all the big questions.
Yeah.
Because I grew up kind of believing in God just because I'd been taught that God exists, and I just wanted to know how to confront that, how to figure out what I believe, um, and just yeah, it just seemed like that was the thing to study to just kind of open up all those questions, not necessarily to answer them, but
Yeah.
just to learn how to ask them.
I remember I went to community college before I went to Central, and I took one philosophy class, and the dude was like the biggest badass in the world. I don't even know how to describe him. He was just this short, chubby Jewish guy. He was a rabbi. He had a yarmulke, gold chains, gold rings, and we get to the part. It was like a survey class of philosophy. So he's like, "All right, we're going to talk about God now. I don't care if you believe in God or not. Don't tell me if you believe in God or not. I don't care." But it was cool. It was really cool to see where the overlap of theology, because I had done a lot of reading. Like, do you know Chris Hitchens and Richard Dawkins and those guys?
Very vaguely.
So they have these different approaches on theology, and Chris Hitchens kind of is an atheist and kind of slams it, in your face and tells you why you're wrong and this and that. Where Richard Dawkins is more of he's an atheist too, but he comes at it from a scientific point of view instead of a philosophical, uh, you know, argument. But so that's really cool. That just is very fascinating to me. Those studies.
Mhm.
Yeah. So at what point did you go from playing oboe full time to learning how to play classical guitar?
So I actually had started guitar first. I started guitar when I was 7, and then uh, yeah, I wanted to participate in the band, so that's how the band at my school. So that's how I picked up oboe, and then guitar was always more my favorite instrument though, um, and I mostly played by myself. I didn't do too much chamber music when I was younger, um, but oboe was a way for me to participate with other people in music.
Mm.
Um, but then yeah, I guess at the end of college, I actually mostly put my effort towards oboe. Um, but then I realized, I want to be better at guitar. I really want to study this. I really want to. I didn't actually want to be a professional guitarist then, still, but I just wanted to just be better at it. Just play the pieces I really wanted to play. Um,
So you took classical guitar in college then?
yeah,
Who was the instructor at Vassar?
Terry Champlin.
Oh, I know that name.
Well, you also stayed or taught at Manus.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Side note, at Heart, that little double read room, did you ever go in there?
I don't think I ever actually did.
What do you think they do in there?
I think they make reeds. I
Okay.
think so.
So you finish your undergrad, you're a multi-instrumental. What kind of stuff were you playing on the classical guitar as you left undergrad, going and then deciding to migrate to Heart?
So let's see. Uh, I played Leanda poorly, um, but
Is
yeah,
that Leanda Poorly? Is that the second movement?
yeah, it is.
Okay.
And I played let's see, the first cello suite, and because I'd always loved that prelude, and just wanted to learn that for my senior recital. And yeah, I played Leanda in my senior recital, and I also played oh gosh, Sunburst by Andrew York.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, my slurs were not so clear. That's all right. It was just a bunch of music that I just loved, and had heard when I was growing up, and so I just kind of wanted to put all that together to my senior recital. Um, but yeah, it was clear that I needed to really be able to play the way I wanted to play and communicate my musical ideas. I really needed to study more in depth and go to a conservatory.
So what was the what brought you to Heart? Was it uh, well, you tell me. How did you get to Heart? Because we know there's a bunch of really good conservatories for classical guitar. I would say there's probably what 10 really good ones, 15 really good ones in the United States, right? But you decided on the best one. Just kidding. You decided on one of the good ones.
So it was pretty close to where my parents live and close to where I went to school. So it's like 2 hours from my parents, an hour and a half from where I went to college. Um, and I actually went to the Heart Institute, the Suzuki Institute, like over the summer, for like 4 years when I was growing up. So I was familiar with the campus, and it just sort of felt like kind of like home already because yeah, I'd
Yeah.
spent some summers there, and it's just sort of the obvious choice, I guess.
Yeah. By the way, I keep muting myself because my neighbor is mowing his lawn. So that when you're talking, the background noise pulls the camera onto me, and I'm not ready for that. Um, so that's cool. So you started going there. You started going to Heart, and then what was the? I like to ask people this question because a lot of people, myself included, um, pick up classical guitar or really get their first college classical guitar experience at a university rather than a conservatory. So what was that shift like for you going from a place like a large university to a very strict conservatory?
Um, yeah, it was a pretty big transition. So Vassar is a pretty small school, and it was a pretty small music department too. So it it felt at times a little like a conservatory just because it was pretty small and unified, but yeah, there wasn't much focus on classical guitar. People didn't even really know what it was, and actually, I had some professors there who were trying to steer me away from classical, because they knew I sang, and they knew I played oboe, and they were like, maybe you should take voice lessons instead of guitar. And I was like,
Yeah. No.
no,
No.
guitar is my life.
Hindsight is 2020.
Yeah. Um, so it was nice to go to a place where there were a lot of other classical guitar students, because there were a few at my undergrad, but not that many people who were really seriously studying classical.
Mm.
Um, and so it was great to, it's also that there was so much chamber music. I really like that Hart emphasizes that so much. Um, and just that, like you're just immediately placed into a chamber group, like flute guitar, and then also a guitar quartet. So it was just all of a sudden all this guitar exposure that, I just didn't have in my undergrad.
Yeah.
We also didn't have juries at all.
Oh,
So it was kind of like,
lucky
wait,
you.
kind of, it's kind of lucky, but it's also like maybe that would have been good
Yeah. Yeah.
for, yeah.
What? Who was in your quartet?
So it was John Burt, Christy, and Elias Mullane.
Oh, okay. And what kind of stuff did you play? I love quartet music, and I only got one, 2 semesters of it. Well, no, actually, I did it in undergrad too. We did some fun stuff. What pieces did you guys play? Do you
We
remember?
did Opals by Philip Houghton.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh gosh, what else did we do? Um, oh, we did the Pachelbel's Loose Cannon.
Oh, LAGQ.
What did you say?
The LAGQ did that.
Yeah.
Was that, did Andy York do that, or did someone else compose that?
I think it was Andy York, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I know
But
they have a funny video of that. That must have been a fun piece to play.
yeah, it was really fun.
For me, it was a very similar experience, because I had Chris Ladd in undergrad at CCSU, and then I went and followed him to Hart and had him at Hart. So like he never said anything at Hart that was, you know, vastly different than what he said in undergrad. But for me, it was like there was just so much surrounding, like the atmosphere around my lessons was so much more intense, where the level of education I was getting, you know in general, was just so much higher. So it really supported more of the work that I was doing at Heart. Like, there's no doubt that I practiced more in my masters, that I played harder rep, that I played, that I focused more on technique or this and that in my masters. But you know, it was that everything else was supporting that. So as I was playing music, that had, we were talking about before, like extended technique, I had time and place to practice that, and I had peers and instructors to ask about that. So for me, it was really like it's almost like the saturation was turned up, or the concentration of what I was doing
Yeah.
was really elevated. Did you ever have to take any jazz guitar stuff at Heart
Yeah, I did electric guitar styles
with with
with
Rick?
Rich Goldstein. Yeah.
Yeah. How was
I
that?
struggled
Yeah.
because I'd never played electric guitar before. Then all of a sudden,
Really?
yeah. And then, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I've played electric for years. I know how to use a pick." And I'm like, "Wait, how do you hold a pick?"
So you were like super like classical. Did you grow up with family members playing classical music?
No. Well, my sister played piano and trombone, but
Hmm.
um, but yeah, my parents didn't play instruments. My mom did a little bit of piano when she was younger, but uh, my dad always jokes, I played the radio.
Oh wow.
Dad joke.
Yeah. Was he good at it, playing the radio?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
actually really good at playing the radio. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's a very serious thing though, with like some John Cage concerts, right? Of people being like, I actually do play the radio.
Yeah, I guess
Or
he doesn't
what's
play it like that.
no, or what's that guy? Jacob TV. Do you know that guy?
I don't.
His last name stands for something. He has an actual name. I think he's a Swedish dude. He's a saxophone composer, and he does a lot of really cool like prepared pieces. But they're very interesting. So it's usually like solo sax and like a boombox with a cassette tape, and it's really cool. I think. Do you know Joey Abad, sax player from Heart?
I don't think so.
Okay, he played with Nick. They did he did something with Nick, and Nick Catronio for chamber music, but he played a lot of his stuff, and I think that stuff is really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you're at Heart. What did you what did you feel like was an adjustment, or one of, because for me it was a million things. What was one of the things in your instruction that you felt like you had to like catch up or change immediately, like something like an aha moment, like, oh my gosh, I gotta fix this.
Oh man, yeah, there's so many of those. Uh, I mean, right away my whole position changed. I was just holding the guitar with the neck much higher, and I guess, sort of an overarching thing, just thinking in so much more detail, not just musically but technically. Just yeah, everything just so much more detail. Thinking of like exactly where each finger is, and just even if I was maybe preparing a little bit before, but not like really, and then suddenly it was just every detail of like exactly how you're preparing your fingers on the strings, and then I think I was like doing it, and then I practice for a while and then come back to my lesson and then find out that no, I'm not actually preparing.
Yeah.
So many moments like that. But then,
I've had those moments too.
yeah, because it's interesting when you haven't had like that detailed instruction and you go back and you get all those other details. It's yeah, it's just you feel like such a beginner, and I think that's great. I think that actually we should always feel like beginners, and that's sort of something that we've also been taught at heart, that you want that beginner mindset, that
Right.
like uh,
Chris likes to say if you never leave the basics, you don't have to get back to them or something like that. I'm sure he's told you that too.
yeah, totally.
Um, Everything changes when you start looking at things in detail. And you know, for people that are watching this, aka my mom and dad, um, they didn't go to Hart. But I guess if another guitarist is watching this from another part of the world or another conservatory, you get this with any kind of instruction. I mean, Hart isn't the only school that teaches the preparation technique, unless you're a student of Aaron Shearer and you do the continuity stroke. Actually, I got into a debate with somebody about that online. Do you remember the continuity stroke?
Yeah, I think it's sort of it's a little bit like this the just a different way of saying the same kind of thing. A
Yeah.
little,
So
yeah.
I got into a fight with somebody, a classical guitar fight. So we were like, well, perhaps you are misinformed, good sir. But this guy online was like, oh, the note never stops with a continuity stroke. And I said, okay, but your finger still touches the string, and therefore the note has to stop. Like it's like the law of physics, right?
Right.
You can't set it in motion again without putting your finger on it. And well, this isn't a crap talk session. Um, I forgot where we were. I think the point is that everything, when you start looking at it in detail, everything changes. And you have to really pay attention to what you're doing so you can do it well.
Yeah.
How does that relate to how you teach? I mean, I know that you have multiple teaching jobs. Is that all classical guitar that you teach?
Almost all classical. Yeah.
And what kind of what kind of schedule is that like? What kind of pieces are the kids playing? Tell me about that.
I teach all ages. My youngest student is 4, and my oldest student is in his 70s, and so it's really, yeah, a wide range of repertoire and levels. I teach mostly Suzuki, so um, yeah, just a lot of starting with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and uh, then yeah, I guess I usually bring my students through like book 4 at least, and then we sort of pick and choose from books 5 and 6, and then add some other repertoire as well. Um,
Can you tell me? I know I asked you a big question. I'm cutting you off. Can you educate me on how what the theory learning is like as you get out of like book 2 and book 3 for the student? And the reason that I ask is that I've seen some examples, not a lot, but some examples of kids playing music out of the advanced books, but not understanding any of it. And I don't think that's how it's supposed to be.
yeah. So you mean like just understanding the music theory, or also reading, or
Yeah, like everything. Just give me like a TED talk on everything you know about Suzuki. Go.
okay. So yeah, there's this misconception that Suzuki doesn't teach students how to read, and I think one of the whole points of Suzuki is that it uses the mother tongue approach. So kids learn to play music the same way they learn to speak and they learn to read. So they learn to play music before they learn to read music, just the same way they would learn to speak a language before they learn to read in that language.
I
Um,
just thought it was funny that you said mother tongue, not that that should be a thing that I make fun of. I just wasn't expecting those two words, but I'm sorry, continue.
that's right. That is what it's called.
Okay.
So
Whatever.
so I really like that approach because, when you're learning an instrument, there's so much going on. You have to sit in a new way. You have to, um, you have to pay attention where your right hand fingers are going, where your left hand fingers are going, and it's just so much to do. Um, and it's especially for the really little kids, it's just a lot to focus on. So when you introduce a new notation right away, that's just a little too much for them to handle. So the idea is that you just kind of get them playing a few notes, and then get them playing a few pieces, learning just from listening to it.
And you guys do a
Um,
lot of singing too, right? But not
yeah,
solfege, or you do use solfege?
I do some solfege and I do some singing on note names.
Oh, cool.
I've been doing a little less solfege lately, not for any reason, I guess. I guess, well, maybe because I usually do that in group classes with everyone.
Yeah.
Um,
And so how does that, so I've seen some like really good book one, book two performances, but as they start to get into the more advanced books, what is the expectation for like a student to be able to read or understand theory wise? Or is that sort of like depends on the student?
it does depend a little bit on the student, yeah. I guess I'm unusual in that I tend to teach my students to read pretty early. So when they're in the middle of book one, they're already, you know, they know the actually even yeah after like the first four or five pieces or something, they're already reading music on the staff, or they can recognize the notes. And I have this with me. Um, I have this felt staff.
Oh, I was hoping you would bring out felt.
That's, and then I have like these little notes that I put up there, and
Oh, cool.
so they've after they've learned the G scale, then I have them figure out how to write the G scale with the notes. So just sort of some fun things like that. Just different ways of interacting with the notes and with the staff.
Sure.
To visualize it and then to create it and to sing it as well. And so then for like it does. This is where it sort of depends on the student. Some students will be able to read right away, like in the middle of Suzuki Book One, but other students will take just a little bit longer, so they still learn mostly from listening, and then like at the end of Suzuki Book One, I have them read. Um, but I do find that if students, if they get too advanced before they're comfortable with reading, then they just don't want to read, and it just seems like just this sort of insurmountable challenge to figure out how
Mm,
to read and to like learn the music from reading.
yeah.
So yeah, I like to introduce it pretty early.
It seems like Hart is a good place to go to get that Suzuki training. And I should mention that you don't get the Suzuki training through the instruction at the master's level. You get it through an additional course through the
Yeah.
community division. Is that correct? Or how does that work?
So it's actually a little bit different now, and I don't know how it works now. But when I took the Suzuki training course, they actually still had a degree program where you could get your master's with a specialization in Suzuki training.
So you got
Although
your master's with that?
I actually didn't do that. I was considering doing that. Oh, you know what? Actually, I think that I think they got rid of that actually in my second year of my master's. Is that right?
Okay.
Something like that. But anyway, I took those added courses, so I got certified in books one through four.
And that must really help with the teaching stuff too, because then it opens you up to be able to do whatever you want, regardless if you want to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I knew I wanted to teach Suzuki though, just because I learned from the Suzuki method, and it was all about it.
Oh, so you learn from the Suzuki method too.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're at Heart, you're burning it up, you're ripping up the guitar. I think I met I'm not sure. What did you play for your master's recital? The last recital? Because I'm not sure when I met you. It may have been after your master's
I think you met me when I was getting my doctorate.
when you started.
So maybe if you heard that recital, that would have been my first doctorate recital, which was the Five Bagatelles by William Walton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
and
shredded those.
Cordova. Thanks.
This is so good.
Yeah.
Cool. Fantastic. Fantastic. So let's shift a little bit. We're in a quarantine. We can't do anything. We can't play gigs. We can't go to guitar festivals. We can't have master classes where people rip our heads off. I don't think I've ever seen you get yelled at in a master class or studio class. I
Really,
think, yeah. I didn't see it. I got yelled at a lot.
it's happened.
Um, you played for, didn't you play for Antigone when Morgan played the Black Decameron? Didn't you play for her that night too?
Yeah, I did play for her. Yeah.
And did you play the Bagatelles?
No, I played. Oh, I played Sevilla.
You played Sevilla. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and she was like, "Yeah, this piece is like instant tendonitis," and I'm like, "Yep, it is."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you are in charge of and organizing, right?
Mhm.
A guitar festival
Yeah.
that is happening online, um, COVID free. You don't have to get COVID to attend or participate in this festival. At the time of this recording, today is what? Is it May? Today's May 18th. Um, and this will probably be released about a week or so after we record it. So tell us what's going on with this festival
Sure.
and how we can get involved.
So, yeah, it's an all online festival. There are going to be master classes, and a composition class and composition workshop that Fraser Andras is teaching, and then a songwriting class and a songwriting workshop that Mandy Sullivan is teaching. Um,
Oh, I love Mandy. She's
yeah,
great.
yeah, she's great. And yeah, Chris Ladd is going to be teaching the intermediate and advanced master classes, and then Sven Rainey is going to be teaching the beginning master classes. And Sven is also teaching a Suzuki group class, a book one group class. Um, so yeah, a bunch of stuff for the older students and for the younger students. There's going to be a musical showcase, and so that's an opportunity for students to perform on an instrument other than guitar, or maybe on a different style of guitar, or something that's not their main instrument. Um, and then there's going to be a final recital, so the festival participants will get to play the piece that they did in the master class, or they could do another piece too. Um,
Oh, they can go
and
off the beaten path.
yeah.
What what was the inspiration for this guitar festival?
So, so I have a student at the River School who is playing a piece that Fraser wrote for him. So, yeah, the student Devin, he was going to play in this seminar on contemporary music that the River School has every year, but unfortunately that was canceled. So he still got to do like through Zoom, he got to do a coaching with Fraser, and that was just great. So. He played the piece, and Fraser gave him some comments and told him a little bit about the piece and his inspiration. And then it actually sort of became like almost a composition lesson, which was pretty cool. Yeah, Fraser was talking about like how you can start with just a chord progression and turn that into a melody, and it was great. It was just so much fun. And yeah, it went on for like it was like an hour and a half or something
Wow.
of the three of us just having fun with music. And so then I thought,
Fun with music. Okay.
so it just was like, I wish I could make this a bigger thing. More students could learn how to compose a little bit and could just have fun talking about music and playing. And I realized, well, probably summer camps are all canceled and
Yeah.
festivals are canceled, and I wonder if there's a way that I could provide something for my students. So I started thinking, yeah, I could maybe do even master classes online or something. And then another inspiration for it was just that, so many people, so many musicians have been hit so hard by this with gigs canceled and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, well, this would be a way to help my friends and colleagues as well.
Sure, sure.
Um, so let's see, that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago or something that I first thought of it. And
Mm-hmm.
then I just kind of wrote down a bunch of ideas and just kind of, I don't know, I just put it all together.
Just everything, write
Yeah.
it down, bam.
Yeah.
I'm imagining you like Charlie Day from Always Sunny
Yeah.
with all those connecting photos.
Exactly.
What's the name of the festival?
It's just called the Online Guitar Festival.
Cool.
Didn't think of a catchier name, but let me
You
know if
you
you do.
you have time. You have time.
I do.
What's I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about this so we can try to get this to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Is it just for classical guitar students?
It's mostly classical, but it's also for other styles.
Cool. Is there a what's the fee? Is there a fee? What's the fee?
There's a fee. So it's $70 for the full festival participation.
And
Um,
how long is the full festival participation?
so that is, let's see, it starts Thursday, June June 11th through Sunday the 14th.
Okay.
Um, and I actually forgot to mention there's also a guitar ensemble.
Oh,
So Michael Stubblefield is writing a piece for the ensemble. It's going to be about 5 parts of varying levels,
cool.
and so it's meant to be played through Zoom. So things aren't going to line up exactly. It's supposed to be sort of a little bit random and cascading.
So like any guitar, giant guitar ensemble,
Exactly.
giant and cascading.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so so if they pay for, so you were talking about the fee. If they pay for that, is it like classes? Is it sort of how we would do things at Heart, where you have assigned classes every day?
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, so there's let's see there's an ensemble rehearsal every day. Just a half hour rehearsal every day. And then there are master classes every day as well. So anyone who's signed up to participate in the full festival or to do the guitar ensemble or audit the festival can see all of those events. And students who have paid for the full festival will be able to take a master class. Um, and let's
With a
see,
master, with
yes,
a master.
a master. And they'll be able to watch the composition class and the songwriting class.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and then students who have signed up for the not the full festival but the guitar ensemble will be able to do pretty much everything, but they just won't have a master class, and they
Right.
won't get to do the musical showcase as well. But they can do all the other things. Um, and then um, there's also so people who've signed up for the full festival or for the guitar ensemble can also choose to sign up for an additional class, either the composition workshop or the songwriting workshop. You can sign up.
Mm, very cool.
And so that's if you've like written something or like started writing something, then either Mandy or Fraser will work with you to work on your composition a little bit.
What if I have a song and like I play the song and it's basically like a Weezer song?
That's great. Yeah,
That's not your department, right? That's Frasier or Mandy.
yeah. But they can yeah, if you wanted to play a Weezer song in a master class, yeah, if you sign up for the full festival, yeah, then I yeah, let's do it.
Is there
There,
an age or experience cap on either end?
no. So let's see. I think well, I guess I would say that around Suzuki Book One, like if you've played at least one piece in Suzuki Book One or like around that level, then you can sign up. So people who are like the really young students who haven't played like a full piece yet, um, they could still maybe participate in the guitar ensemble, but I think it would be a little tough to do a master class.
Hmm.
But they're certainly welcome to audit. But as long as you've played, if you have like a piece to work on, then yeah, anyone can sign up. And let's see, yeah, just it's going to be different styles as well. We don't really have a jazz guitar teacher, so maybe.
It's actually pronounced Yaz.
Oh, okay, yeah, should have known that.
Yeah. You didn't see you obviously didn't see the episode with me and Dan Hardington because
Mhm.
we decided that Yaz has a soft J.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for telling me.
Yeah, you're welcome. They don't teach that stuff at Heart.
Okay.
Where does one sign up?
So there's an Eventbrite page, and you can access that page through my website as well.
Hmm.
So catherineokelly.com, and then there's a link to the festival information. Um,
I'm gonna forward this information to all the I'm a bunch of excuse me. I'm on a bunch of like music teacher Facebook pages and groups and stuff. So I'm going
awesome.
to send this out to all those people, see if we can get someone out. So if
Oh,
if someone, I think I know the answer to this, but I want you to say it. Um, if someone out in Texas, little Randy Smith out in Texas is like 13 years old, likes to play minuet in G out of the Hal Leonard book on a nylon string guitar, can he join?
Yeah, absolutely.
What if like there's a high school student out in San Obispo, California? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is like 17, wants to play Leanda, can read a little bit of music, and then wants to play with some people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I tried to make the times work for a lot of different time zones. So let's see, for the yeah, I guess usually things don't start until like 10 in the morning. So hopefully that's gonna work for people. I know it's gonna be a little early, a little on the early side
We're
sometimes.
going to start 7 a.m. on the East Coast, so
Yeah,
just don't go to bed.
yeah. But most of the master classes are later on, and we can certainly work around people's schedules.
Awesome. I think this is going to be really cool, and I think it's wonderful that you're doing this, especially with the faculty. And do you have a lot of kids signed up right now?
Not too many have signed up yet. We've had the registration open only for not even a week yet.
Mm.
Um, but yeah,
We're going to get you all the kids.
what do you say?
We're going to get you all the kids. Zoom is going to crash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
yeah,
Keep going. Keep going.
yeah. Well, I have some students, who've said they're going to sign up. So hopefully, yeah, we have to sort of based on whoever signs up, we're going to adjust how the ensemble piece is.
Mm, mm. Well, we'll see if we can get you as many kids as possible.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Um, cool. So this is actually the first time this is the birth of something. We are going to birth the lone guitarist questionnaire.
All right.
You're like, I'm gonna go.
No problem.
I have a questionnaire. I'm gonna ask you 5 questions and you answer them in the detail that you want to. So if you want to give me one word answers, that's fine. Or if you want to talk about it for a few minutes, that's fine too.
Okay,
Okay. Are you ready?
I think so.
What was the best gig or performance you've ever had?
Hmm. Interesting question. Um. Huh. Okay. I guess there was a gig that I had. It was a wedding gig, just a wedding reception that I played. Man, was that 2 years ago or something? And it was yeah, just set up in this one area in the hallway, and people were. I just started playing as people were filing in, and just I know I just played all my old pieces, and I just had a lot of fun, and everyone was like really nice. People would stop and just say how much they enjoyed the music, and it just I don't know. When you have like you're playing for a crowd that's just so friendly and nice and respectful and just
Yeah,
really
it's not the retirement homes.
yeah.
They're
um,
savage.
they can be, yeah. Yes. Yeah, it was just really nice because it was just like low pressure and just kind of I was recovering from a cold, so I was a little worried that I wasn't going to play so well, and then I was having so much fun that it was like some of the best playing I've done at a gig. So,
Mm.
yeah, it was really nice.
Now we're going to go to the opposite of that. And so you decide how much you want to share. What is the worst gig or worst performance or just a bad story that you'd want to share? That you can something you can laugh about.
Huh. Um oh, okay. I've got something a story that I like to tell my students. Um this probably isn't the worst, but it just at the time it was mortifying.
Hmm.
Um, so I used to go to the River School where I now teach in Weston, Mass, and so they have this seminar on contemporary music every year, and so one year I was participating in that, and I was getting over a cold once again, or actually I think I was still sick, and so my ears were just kind of blocked, and I was just kind of just out of it, and so
You're the master of colds.
yeah, I get sick a lot. So, I get up on stage and like the piece is going all right. Um,
What were you playing?
oh gosh, I don't even remember. Yeah, I'm not gonna remember what it was.
Okay, okay.
But I got to this, so I stumbled over one spot, but it was like fine. I kept going, and then I right, there was a repeat. So I took the repeat, and then I got to that same spot where I stumbled before, and I just completely blanked out. Could not remember what came next at all. And so I just sat there for a few moments, just like, oh my god, this is terrible. And then in my efforts to remember what came next, I completely forgot what I just played. I had no idea where I was. The only thing I could remember was the beginning of the piece. So so I just like started at the beginning of the piece, just because I had to play something. I couldn't just like sit there. So I started at the beginning of the piece, and I'm thinking, man, I can't play through this whole piece again. I'm just gonna mess up in the same spot. So I was like, I gotta stop this somewhere. So I just like put down a random chord,
Oh God.
played it. That was it. Bowed, got off stage.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my goodness.
But no one knew except for my teacher and my mom. My dad didn't even know.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. I really want to know what the piece is.
I'll see if I
Wow.
can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, now to something a little more pleasant. So that was question number two. Question number three. What is the best piece of advice and who gave it to you?
Hmm. Um,
Or a piece of advice if you haven't evaluated.
yeah, I guess it would be "Don't be an idiot" from Michael Scott through Dwight Schrute. So, every time I do something, I think to myself, would an idiot do that? And if so, I don't do what I was going to do. Um, no, but seriously, huh? I don't know. I
Many
guess
things, many great things have come out of Michael Scott's mouth.
many great things. I think that just I guess just from experience has taught me just be yourself. Always be true to yourself, and you can't go wrong with that.
Wow. So uplifting. Um, okay, question number four. Right now, what is your favorite piece to play?
My favorite piece right now is "The Sleep of Reason Produces Monsters" by Mario Castelnuovo Tedesco.
Mm,
Um, it's from Caprichos de Goya, and yeah, it's the hardest piece I've ever played, technically and musically, and I just love it so much. Um,
wonderful.
it makes it really worth it to put in all that work and to keep practicing and working on it because it's so rewarding, it's so beautiful.
Is there a recording that speaks to you right now of that piece?
Yeah. Wow, and now I'm gonna oh yeah, Zoran Dukic. Yeah, his
Okay.
recording. Yeah.
I thought you were going to be like, John Williams. And then the last question is, I don't know how I feel about this question. I'm going to keep it in for now.
Okay.
What technique on the guitar do you, f- either now or at one point found the hardest or something that you really had to invest a lot of time in and why?
Huh. Um,
Maybe now you're not struggling with it anymore, but at one point it was challenging, the classical guitar.
man, I feel like everything was so challenging. I don't know how I'm gonna pick just one.
Yeah.
I think that I mean honestly everything because even with some things that you feel like you pick up pretty well and then there's always more refinement that you need to do. Like I mean, slurs are so hard when you think about it. Like they're so hard. And then you finally
Yeah.
like a pretty good slur, and then you realize no, actually, it's not really even. The notes aren't quite clear. Um, and so it's just there's always this refinement. So I honestly think everything.
Yeah.
Man, it's
That's a good
just
answer.
let up. It's so hard what we do.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
What would you say? This is not the questionnaire, but I like to sort of end with this kind of question. What would you say to someone who is, considering this kind of career in our instrument or maybe a different instrument? What would you tell them?
Um, I would say that it's the well, I guess in my experience, I never really meant to be a guitarist. I really never expected that. I didn't even dream of that because I just I thought that you had to be really special to be a musician. Like, wow, those people, they're just like
Oh, but you are
super.
really special.
What'd you say?
But you are really special.
Thank you. But yeah, like I thought that I just assumed I would never be good enough to be a guitarist. So I just didn't even dream of that. Um, and I just loved guitar so much, and it was just the one thing I could never let go of.
Hmm.
So I just kept prioritizing it, like sort of accidentally, like, yeah, I'm gonna maybe be a band director or chorus director or something at high school. But I'm just gonna get my master's in guitar performance real quick, and then
Real quick, just knock this out. Oh, and by the way,
right,
yeah.
yeah. And then it just was like, at the end of my master's degree, I really still didn't expect to be a guitarist, but finally at the end of the degree, I was like, you know, I could do this. Yeah. And so it's been a tough road. I mean, it's such a tough career in terms of the time commitment and the amount of education, and then just all the, you never make very much money, and just all the teaching and all the gigging. It's so tough, and there's so much that goes into it. But it's, when you feel that it's really worth it. I mean, yeah, for me, it is really worth it. It really is. And I
And
think
for you, I mean, oh, I'm sorry.
well, just that, I've questioned it a lot, and I've thought a lot about other things that I could do, and then every time I go down that road, like, yeah, I guess, what else would I do? Oh yeah, I
The
could,
office historian.
right. And then it's like just in every scenario that I think of, it's like, no, I should be a guitarist.
Yeah.
So,
And for you, I mean, you know, I think this is pretty much everybody I've interviewed so far. You make all of your income through music, if I'm not mistaken.
that's right, yeah.
And so, I mean, neither one of us are living in a mansion in Beverly Hills, but it's possible.
Mhm.
And you're right, there's a ton of stuff that goes into it and a ton of work and a ton of education. And in
Yeah.
my opinion, you have some really solid teaching gigs. You don't teach out of a music store. You don't teach out of a music and arts, and not knocking the people that do that, but you have the better gigs. You have the students that are a little more serious.
Mhm.
So, it just goes to show that you can make a decent living,
Mhm.
while doing something that you love so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I guess yeah, realized I didn't finish my thought from earlier about feeling like just worrying that I wasn't ever going to be good enough to be a guitarist. It's not about that. It's not about good enough. That's just not even a thing. It's just what you love doing, and what you can contribute to the world too. I think that I think that I mean, not that you should decide what you do based on what you can contribute, really, but I feel that if I were to do anything else with my life, it would be a disservice to me and to the world too.
Yeah, I agree, for you and for people that feel that way. As we wrap up, other than the guitar festival, is there anything that you would like to promote? I would like to say that your website has some awesome recordings of your playing.
Oh, thanks.
I don't think I saw the duo website, but I saw your site.
Cool.
Um, but is there anything else that you want to promote? Any recordings? Anything?
Um, I don't know. I guess I just all the things that are there. Some of the solo stuff is a little bit older, but there's a lot of cool chamber music that I've done there. A lot of stuff from 2020. Lots
You played a lot of music.
I have played a lot. Yeah, lots of very interesting contemporary pieces.
What was the piece you played with the amp and the drum? Was there a
Oh
drum?
yeah, that was cool. Mundus Canis.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, by George Crumb. Yeah,
that
that
was
was
cool.
awesome. Yeah, each movement was well, so the title translates to A Dog's World, and each movement was about a different dog that George Crumb had in his life.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I think did Joviana play that piece?
Oh, she might have.
She played something about dogs.
Okay, cool. It might have been that. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah.
I'm going to put all of your links, for all these wonderful things that are going on in the bottom. and it was a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It was great talking.